Hello, my name is Trey the Gatorboy, and welcome to the Gatorboy's Guide to Becoming a Bakugan Pro. You probably remember Bakugan from a long time ago. Well, now they're back, and they're in a TCG format. A completely new game. It's really cool, and I'm sure a lot of you viewing this probably searched Bakugan and probably realize that this is a Bakugan video. But for people who haven't actually heard that there's a new Bakugan game, well, there is, and it's actually really great. It's a full-on card game, brand new mechanics. It's all a lot like Magic. It's a lot like Pokemon. It's like all those games put together into one great game. It's actually made purposely to be highly competitive as well. In this video, I'm going to go over just a few of the concepts just that make the game what it is, what you need to play, and in the next video, I'm going to go over how to actually play the game with a deck, with your team of Bakugan. So, in order to play the Bakugan TCG, you must have 3 of the newly made Bakugan um, guys, like this one. His name is Cubbo. He's just a little introduction dude. Well, he's just not an introduction dude, but he kind of looks like a little mascot. He's just like, he can wave at you. Next, you need 6 Baku cores, which is what this guy is standing on. Just wanted to make sure he didn't fall. So he's standing on a little core. This is a flaming fist. There are 5 different types of cores. The green fist will give a minor power boost and a minor attack boost. And then there's the flaming fist, which gives a moderate amount of power boost and a moderate attack or a high attack boost. Next, we have the helix core, which will either raise both, decrease both, or raise one and decrease the other in terms of power and attack. And then there's a shield, the orange shield. The shield only will either boost or debuff the B power. And lastly, there's the magic shield, which will either give a massive boost to the B power or a massive debuff to the B power. And lastly, you need 40 cards, which you can get from booster packs, just like any other TCG. And it's all just like the standard way. Like I can Wipe Mind is an action card. Wipe Mind is, if you can see that, there's a mana cost in the top, and then there's an effect on the bottom. You pay the mana cost and you cast it, you use its effect. There are 6 different types of cards in the game. The first card is an action card. The action cards are like spells, sorceries. If you play Pokemon, they're supporters? Trainer. Supporter cards, I believe. Trainer cards? Um, and in Yu-Gi-Oh! They're spells. So actions are your spells. Hero cards are much like supporters from Pokemon. Um, and they are much like continuous spells in Yu-Gi-Oh! Or enchantments from Magic. The third type of card is a flip card. A flip card usually will stop an attack when you cast it. However, you may only cast it when you take damage. The fourth type of card, I do not have it on me at the moment. It's a Baku Gear card. These are new, coming in the next set. They have released a couple just in like some of the starter packs. However, they are equip spells and auras, as Magic players would know. The fifth type of card is an evolution card. You may know evolutions from Pokemon. That's pretty much kind of like the concept, but it's a lot better in the terms that if your opponent gets an evolution, you don't just lose right off the bat. You still have ways of getting around that, such as destruction effects or just decreasing their power or raising your own power. It's much more balanced in this game than in Pokemon. Lastly, the sixth type of card, which is character cards. Character cards are representing your actual Bakugan. I do not have one on me at the moment. In the top right of the card, there are 2 core symbols, and those symbols represent which Baku cores you may play if you have that Bakugan on your team. However, you cannot play with any other cores other than the cores that your 3 Bakugan may have. Now, there are 6 total factions, and they have changed them quite a bit since before. The colors are a lot different. As you could tell, this guy is a dark green. which is really weird, right? They didn't have that before, really. I mean, they kind of did with Ventus sometimes, I think, but not like this. Not at all. This is Ventus. This is Ventus now. Ventus is now both Subterra and Ventus mixed together. It represents both wind and earth. Um, Whereas Pyrus is fire, Aquos is water, Chaos is light, Darkus is dark, and replacing Subterra, there's Aurelus, which is more of like a golden color, which is really cool. They really started accentuating that in the next set, and it looks really nice. Now, if you would like to know what each faction is for, it's a lot like in Magic. So, starting off with Pyrus. Pyrus's main thing is to pretty much burn your opponent with as many quick effects as possible. Not really burn, but more generate power and attack for your Bakugan to just mow down your opponent as fast as possible. They also get access to negating Baku cores, which actually completely removes their Baku core, making it much easier for you to get your attack through. Basically, it's the main faction for burning or aggro players. Darkus. Darkus is really cool because Darkus can actually force your opponent to discard, or you can actually force yourself to discard to give yourself special abilities purely from discarding those cards. For example, some cards actually benefit from being discarded because then you can play them for free. That's actually pretty cool because that's not often in certain card games. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh benefits strictly from the graveyard. Magic sometimes lets you cast it from the graveyard, but never just from free. Like, that's just crazy. Much different. Chaos is a support faction. It mainly allows you to split your effort between each of your individual Bakugan. They also have access to some really high power boosting cards. I will explain what power is versus attack in the next video when I'm explaining how to actually play the game. It's much different. There's no G power anymore. It's strictly B power for battling and attack, which actually deals the damage to the opponent after you win the battle. So, Chaos actually can steal Baku cores directly from the field or directly from your opponent if stated in the card effect. It's mainly for battlefield control. It's a really cool supporting role mainly. However, it can get really crazy if the developers really make it bad. Ventus is ramp, like pretty much every game that has green. And Ventus being a ramp deck can really be devastating to your opponent if you can really pull it off. Ramp isn't a big concept right now in the game, but the new Winton card is really, really good because it gives 1 power for each energy card you have. And you can see where the game's going with that one. I, I'm just gonna leave it there. It can get bad if they let it get bad. The interesting about Ventus is that they do not have any way of boosting their power. They can only debuff your opponent's power. There are no B boosting cards in Ventus as of yet. There might be a few evolutions that might cause you to boost, but as far as I know, there's no boosting cards for Ventus. So if you're going to play Ventus, beware if someone is playing Darkest because there is a thing called Shadow Strike which prevents you from decreasing their attack power, or their power. Not their attack power, but their power. And that can cause some issues for Ventus because there's no way around that in Ventus if you're playing Mono Ventus. Aquos cards are actually pretty similar to Blue in Magic. Basically, what Aquos does is it lets you draw, it has counters to action cards. In fact, I think they just got their second action card counter, which is pretty nice. So it's starting to get to that point where it's going to be like Mono Blue, and it's just going to be ridiculous to play against. There are some cards as well that give you benefits if you have multiple Aquos Bakugan on your team. However, that's not really a huge mechanic. Mainly it's drawing in counters. One other thing that Aquos can do is they have a thing called flow, which if you play one card, your next card will have a different effect, and it's usually much better than the original effect. Aquos cards actually have an effect called Frost Strike, which the Frost Strike makes it so that flip cards actually cost that much more to play when your opponent is flipping them. Lastly, Aurelus. Aurelus is a completely different faction. It is primarily really powerful Bakugan that don't have a lot of support, and they're really nice looking, but they just don't have a whole lot of support. Their support's a little more expensive because of it. It's also really hard to find because they only had it in one set, but it's looking really, really fun. As soon as as soon as you can play mono oreless, I will be doing so probably, just because it's fun and I love having those gold Bakugan. They just look so nice in their new color. Basically, oreless combines the effects of other factions to let you either choose one or the other, and it can be really devastating if your opponent thinks you're going to do one thing and then suddenly you're doing another thing, and it can just be really annoying. They have some of the best Bakugan right now. For example, Titan Hydronoid Ultra. Titan Hydronoid Ultra is a really big beast of a Bakugan evolution. Even the normal one gets 1,000 from landing on a Flaming Fist Bakucore, and just that 8 attack for getting, like, even when you land on a Flaming Fist, if you get that +5 attack and then plus 2,000 B, then you get +8 right here. That is a lot of damage. That is a full 13 damage, and he only costs 4 to play. He's a pretty beast, pretty big beast. If you've stayed this far into the video, I'd like to thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about anything I've planned for the future, please let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification icon so you get notified when I post some Bakugan content. And please, make sure to spread the word about the Bakugan TCG because it is a big deal. It is a very, very fun TCG. It's just so good. It deserves the recognition. So, stay tuned for the next video where I go over actually how to play the game. And please, if you have not seen the game play, definitely, definitely stay tuned for that. See ya!